seconds later.
Well, hello everyone. We have a lot to do today. We got plenty of things to look up and we got a map Zion. Without further ado, we're going to start with a few clips that I've accumulated throughout the day and I'll try to react on the ones that I think are funny. Until then, we'll be having this on standby, the Zion portion of this while we do that because I'm still dealing with some stuff here in real life. But I thought I'd get it started before midnight. Anyway, let's get going here.
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too. Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that? We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that too. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder.
Thank you, Joel. President Trump says the war with Iran could come to a close soon, though he is also issuing a threat that Iran could be hit 20 times harder in the future if it stops the flow of oil to the region.
Yeah, effects on oil markets from the conflict are also causing pain at the pump for millions of Americans. CBS's Jarrett Hill has more.
New video released by the Pentagon overnight shows U.S. strikes destroying Iranian missile launchers.
Everything they have is gone.
As President Trump signaled that the war on Iran is winding down, telling CBS News in a phone interview, quote, "The war is very complete."
It's going to be ended soon, and if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder.
The president doubled down on that last threat on social media overnight, warning death, fire, and fury will rain upon Iran if they do anything to stop the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. The waterway through which about 20% of the world oil travels has been effectively closed since the strikes began, sparking wild swings in global oil markets and sending gas prices in the U.S. up nearly 50 cents since last week.
They're just so high, you know. Sometimes you have to choose between gas and other things that you really need.
President Trump is also voicing disappointment over Iran's new supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, son of the former supreme leader killed in the first day of the strikes.
We think they should put a president in, or the head of the country in, that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change.
As deadly U.S. and Israeli attacks continue, Iran's retaliation relentless, launching missile and drone strikes on Israel and U.S. targets in nearby countries. Late Monday, Vice President J.D. Vance attended the dignified transfer of a 7th U.S. service member. Army Sergeant Benjamin Pennington, the 26-year-old, died from injuries sustained in a March 1st Iranian attack on an airbase in Saudi Arabia. Jared Hill, CBS News.
This week, President Trump again weighed in on the bombing of a girls' school in Tehran that killed 168 people, including many children. He said other nations or Iran could be responsible for the deadly strike, but sources tell CBS News that preliminary assessment suggests that the U.S. was likely responsible, though it was not intentional.
From the CBS 42 Washington Bureau now to the latest on the conflict in the Middle East. Overnight, Iran launching new attacks at Gulf Arab countries. This is President Trump says the U.S. has made major strides in its military objectives there in Iran. Washington correspondent Gabrielle Caracciolo joins us live to break down those developments. Good morning, Gabrielle.
Good morning. President Trump now says this is going to be a, quote, short-term excursion, but he would not commit to a timeline.
Over the past 9 days, we've carried out some of the most powerful and complex military strikes and maneuvers the world has ever seen.
President Trump says the U.S. is well on its way to achieving its objective of destroying Iran's ballistic missiles and its ability to launch them. He says following the U.S.'s airstrikes on nuclear facilities last June, the country was starting to work on a new site for developing material for nuclear weapons.
I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it.
In response, Iran isn't just firing missiles and drones at Israel and American bases in the region. The Islamic Republic has also been targeting energy infrastructure, sending oil prices soaring.
I wish I could say that the 51.1 cents that we rose over the past week on average across the country was where we were going to remain this week.
Analysts with Gas Buddy say gas prices are expected to continue rising until after the conflict ends.
Even if we started today, we're not going to see prices fall for a good while.
And President Trump also threatened to hit Iran, quote, 20 times harder if the Islamic Republic stopped the flow of oil from coming out of that region.
So, Gabrielle, this week we know Iran named a new supreme leader. What has the reaction been from the White House in Washington to that?
Yeah, so that new supreme leader is the son of the supreme leader that the U.S. killed during one of those first strikes. Now, we know he's taking over the military operations there. Yesterday, President Trump said he was disappointed in that choice because he felt that it was going to be more of the same. Then this morning, we're hearing from Iran through state media seemingly replying to that and saying that it's going to be Iran, they say, that decides when this military operation is over and not the U.S.
Gabrielle Caracciolo live there in D.C. Thanks so much.
They have no Navy, it's been knocked out. They have no Air Force, it's been knocked out. They have no air detection, that's been knocked out. Their radar has been knocked out. And just about everything's been knocked out. So we'll see how we do, but we're doing very well. We have a great military, and they're doing a fantastic job. If we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
Hey folks, I'm sure you've seen it. Gas prices are going up fast. And the reason is this war Trump started with Iran. Hey, Americans are actually paying for Trump's bad decisions. That's why I'm introducing a bill to suspend the federal gas tax to give folks some real relief.
I don't know why people again have to point this to like Orange Man's bad.
And I'm working on getting my colleagues on board so we can get this done. I'll keep you updated.
I'm pretty sure we all had that one film we watched as a kid that nobody else seemed to remember. And for me, it was this film right here. This is day 4 of sharing some of the weirdest, most obscure, and downright traumatic animated films from the 1980s. And today's film is one of my personal childhood favorites. This is Don Bluth's.
It's a great movie. If you guys don't know, it's actually been around for a long time. I think 1980s style. I think it's on YouTube, but I'm not sure if it's for free or if you have to watch with ads.
The Secret of Nim. When her son falls seriously ill and the farmer's plow begins slowly crawling towards their home, Mrs. Brisby embarks on a desperate adventure to find some help. But here's the thing. Mrs. Brisby isn't a warrior. She's not some prophesied hero. She's a widow with 4 kids and no other option. And that is a pretty badass hero if you ask me. But the story behind the making of the film is actually pretty interesting. So throughout the 1970s, Bluth actually worked for Disney as an animator. And it was during a time where the studio was honestly kinda lost. So Bluth, along with a handful of other artists, left the company and started their own animation studio. And this was the first film they made. But I guess the main thing that stuck with me about The Secret of Nim is how it never once felt like it was trying to protect me from anything. And it's probably the first film I saw that made me feel that way. It wasn't afraid to be heavy. It wasn't afraid to be scary. It wasn't afraid to show death or grief or fear. And I think when you grow up watching things that assume you're too fragile to feel something real, a film like this really embeds itself in you, in a way you'll never forget.
Oh, hey Linglong, do you mind not smoking in the office? I actually have asthma.
Asthma.
Hey Linglong, do you mind not smoking in the office? I actually have asthma.
Asthma is not real. Nobody in China has that shit. Stop being so weak.
Hey Linglong, can you review my pull request?
No, I don't like you. I hope you get fired.
What's up?
Oh shit, back up, okay? Your breath smells like a shit. It's like somebody died and nobody found them.
Hey Linglong, 你能帮我一下吗？我这系统不会用。
Help you. 当然可以了啊！你坐。在我们中国人根本都不要问的啊，随时想帮忙就叫我啊，哥们儿帮你，扣个月吧，不抽，扣手，先后不擦。哎呦，我慢慢来啊，慢慢来，没事。
This is CNN, a network of Turner Broadcasting System.
The CNN post that just went up kind of shows exactly what. Oh, and here's an ALX take. Always go with the ALX take. ALX quote tweeted CNN. They've deleted a tweet. This is incredible. I didn't plan on starting off here, but like, why not? Everybody's talking about Iran. Yeah, we're gonna have to show the actual like proper tweet. Thank you. There it is. Thank you, Klein. Everyone's talking about Iran. And everyone's talking about why you can't have terrorists over in Iran. But ain't nobody talking about why you can't have terrorists here in our country. It is why, with every single time that we mention Iran, ALX, am I right on this? Every time we've done a read about Iran, every time we've done a story about it, we are constantly telling people here in our homeland to keep your head on a swivel. What has been done to our country? What has been done to the demographics of our country, the harmony of our country, the social health of our country is a crime against humanity. We used to have a country that believed in itself because we had a common cause. The vast majority of the country was Christian, something to the effect of like 90+%, all the way up until like the 80s, 90s. The vast majority of the country, by design, shared a similar heritage, similar value system, shared a common language, we did not have an influx of foreign and alien ideologies into our country, because that makes for a bad country. And that's the point of immigration, is actually to keep alien ideologies from creating friction and to disrupt a harmonious system in your nation. You can't have harmony when mothers feel scared to walk their kids down the street. It's a very simple test. Do you feel like you can take your kid to the public park in your town? Now, this is a test that can be passed or failed, depending on where you live. But this is the test of, do you have a functional society? Do you live in a functional town? If your public park is filled with piss-soaked vagrants and bums, if your public park is filled with out-of-work degenerates sitting around smoking weed, if your public park, which is the intention of the point of your public park, the point of a public space like that, is for the flourishing of families, so the American government can have more taxpayers born and bought in, so we can run a country, and not a welfare state for the third world, field an army, have resources, create great minds, continue our people and our great story, our incredible story, the most incredible people to ever live, quite frankly, I would argue, like without a doubt, like America in the last 250 years, the most incredible nation and people to ever live. Stand proud, be proud. The purpose of that place and your neighborhood and where you're raising your kids is security, safety, and to ensure that we can make more Americans. If your parks, like in every single big city, in every single Democrat city, I live in a big city, I live in Tampa, our parks are immaculate. You can eat off them. You never see a bum. You never see a degenerate. Somebody starts smoking weed, they'll be run off by like the dads. Dads will get their belts off, whipping people. Seriously, it'll happen. I've watched it happen, actually. Like, people don't tolerate it around here. I live in a town filled with like cops and like veterans, military people, is where CENTCOM is. Anyway, what's the point? The point is that what happened in New York this past weekend, and we didn't have a show yesterday, so we didn't really cover it, but perhaps you could grab me a photo or two, I'm sure we have it in the show, is children of first generation, I believe, legal immigrants, but brought over here from foreign lands with foreign and alien cultures, incongruent and inharmonious with Western civilization, decided to throw bombs, nail bombs. I call them an IED, okay? That would be the wartime description of the IED. These terrorists, 18 and 19 years old, these terrorists were radicalized by ISIS and threw bombs at a peaceful protest. There's a peaceful protest against Islam. If you can't protest Islam, it's not America, okay? Then our founding documents mean nothing. You have a right, and if you feel it in your heart, an obligation to protest Islam in our country. Like, it's America. Oh, I thought this was America. It is. And that's what's going on in New York. There's an anti-Islam protest. Okay, absolutely that's allowed. And frankly, it should be encouraged in a free society. People protest all the time. Sometimes you disagree, sometimes you agree, whatever. It is what it is. You shouldn't die in your protest. And that's what the ISIS Islamists who were legally brought over here, who were coddled by our nation in order to create a circumstance where they would throw the bomb, where they would throw these bombs. Oh, we got better photos than that, boys. Where they would take these bombs and throw them at a protester. So this is like exactly the point that we've been making. There's like an unbelievable series of photos here, and also an unbelievable video, my favorite video of all time. A lib screaming, "We need more tolerance, we need more tolerance," as the bomb is literally thrown over his head. Here it is. Perfect. Thank you, boys. We need more tolerance. We need more tolerance. We love and tolerate people. Listen.
Everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside and then tell everyone else.
Yo, this nigga threw a bomb, bro. Yo, he threw a bomb.
Screaming, like, so white lib sitting there with a bullhorn saying, "We need tolerance. We need to bring in more outsiders," as a guy yells "Allahu Akbar" and throws a nail bomb, an IED. By the way, the authorities have determined that these bombs contained a very potent explosive. They weren't just dummy bombs. They weren't just glass jars filled with nails. That's bad enough. They contained real explosives, and a real shout out to the NYPD officers. You can see here in this sequence of photos, the officers who, by the way, like, were the ones who had to apprehend. They're all black. So it's like amazing how the Black Lives Matter conversation like collapses when it's a black cop and a nail bomb thrown by an ISIS Muslim teen. It's remarkable. Insane photos. Check out these black cops, like the bombs rolling around at their feet. Frankly, it's them, it's these cops, these officers right here, who are the most at threat. Yet you hear nothing from these people. You hear nothing from feminists about Iran. You hear nothing from the BLN crowd about these cops. They're not going to be venerated. There's not going to be t-shirts with their faces on them. There should be. Look at this. You hear no one disavows these individuals, these terrorists, these homegrown terrorists. And this is why you need to have the full conversation. Yes, terrorism is bad in Iran. It's way worse here in our country. How do you get rid of terrorism here in our country? You stop bringing in absolute hero right here. Look at this. The officer runs towards the danger. He hopped up. He hopped the fence. He jumped the fence. I think we know this officer's name, if we could. This officer jumped the fence to chase down the ISIS terrorist. Chief Aaron Edwards wears blue. God bless you, Chief Aaron Edwards. The guy throws a nail bomb at him, an IED. The little Muslim terrorist throws an IED at this black cop, and the cop charges him, chases after him, beats him down. What have we said on this program before? Like, this is, by the way, compatible with the raw teachings of Islam, because you're not allowed, of course, to insult the Prophet. You're not allowed, like, what was happening is Jake Lang was posting an anti-Islam protest. If you read the actual scriptures, if you read the actual commands, Muslims aren't supposed to tolerate that. And depending on how you interpret it, and there's plenty of interpretations. I don't pretend to be some scholar. But, like, free speech isn't allowed. That's been made very, very clear from Charlie Hebdo all the way through, obviously. So many terrorist attacks, you can't count them all, name them all. Free speech is not allowed. Free association, not allowed. Freedom of religion, not allowed. So, like, why should we shouldn't be surprised when this happens. Because the, like, radicalization, okay, fine, but, like, this is commonplace in the Muslim world. And so you need to, like, have a very thorough and very critical conversation. Elemental. It's like the enemy is here at home. And the policies that did this. We talk a lot about illegal immigration. What about the legal immigration policies that did this? We legally brought in 150,000 Afghanis. No idea who the hell they are. Brought them in here, throw them on welfare. This show broke the news of a dude who's from Syria. It's an Uber driver in Dallas. He's talking about how he's going to use his car to do a huge car bomb. That guy got arrested. We were the first ones to break the video of him talking about, like, how he's going to use his Uber, to bomb a building in Dallas. That's what he said. He said it live on TikTok. He was brought here. He didn't run across the border. That's really bad. And obviously, all we ever do is talk about how terrible the open border was. It was insane and suicidal. But this is worse, because now we're, like, the American taxpayers paid to bring in the Afghani who shot the National Guardsman and killed her on the streets of D.C. a couple months ago. How quickly we forget. All this was done legally at our expense. So if you're going to go now, like, lay waste to the third world, don't be shocked when the third world that's already here comes and lays waste to us. We've constantly said, you have to keep your head on a swivel, you should train, get armed. Anyway, why does our show exist? One, for that, like, little rant right there. Sorry about that. Wasn't planning on doing that. ALX is like, oh gosh, here he goes again. We miss a show and we just miss talking about this stuff. the reason why we had to do the rant is like it's like a preface of like what the show is all about. Like, what if Elon Musk hadn't bought X?
Okay, guys, here, let me get down to what we're going to be doing, a couple of main quests, and then we're going to be watching this stuff because I didn't get to anything today.
What if there weren't like podcasts like this? What if there weren't streams like this where we could actually like speak the truth? This is what CNN. Okay, so Zorhan Mandami comes out, makes a statement that these guys, that it makes it seem as though the ISIS terrorists were part of the anti-Islam protest, and that it was a hate crime against him. This is Antichrist stuff. The exact perversion, absolute polar negative of the truth. It's Antichrist stuff. Give me the Zorhan Mandami quote, and then this one from CNN is great. Please keep this up. Listen to how CNN framed this. Terrorist attack by ISIS. ISIS teens attacking Americans who protest Islam. That's what happened. It was captured in 4K. There's no doubt. Now these guys are being charged with terrorism charges. I know Pam Bondi tweeted about it yesterday. You can get me the charges. So like bona fide, legitimate, caught in 4K terrorism, legally brought here by the idiocy of administration after administration that allowed unquestioned, unchecked migration here from the third world. Here's how CNN frames this. 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City for what could have been a normal day, enjoying the city during abnormally warm weather. First off, that's just horrible writing. Normal, abnormally. Who's writing this? ChatGPT wouldn't make that mistake. Anyway, but in less than an hour, their lives would be drastically changed as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs during an anti-Muslim protest outside of Zorhan Mandami's home. Here's what we know. Do you see what they do here? Do you see why things are so dangerous right now? Do you see the propaganda? I mean, these guys have just been bought. CNN was just purchased by Paramount. Paramount's run by some pretty right-wing people. It's run by like, certainly not like, I don't know if they're like full hardcore MAGA, but they ain't gonna tolerate this. These people are getting fired. CNN actually just said they were getting fired for writing this. Let me break this down really quickly. This is why we do the show. This is why we do the show. This is sick. This will get more people killed. This radicalizes more people. The next Muslim terrorist reads this and says, CNN will write a puff piece on me. Enjoying a lovely day in New York, I just happened to throw a couple bombs at a protest I didn't like, and they're blaming the cops for arresting me. Can a couple ISIS terrorists just throw a few bombs without having to worry about being arrested on a nice day? Why didn't CNN just write that headline? That's the headline. Could a couple of ISIS, could we we want some shawarma. We just want to smoke a hookah. And throw a couple bombs at people, at infidels. Can't an ISIS terrorist just have a nice day in the city? What is wrong with this country? Can't we, ISIS terrorists, just throw bombs? It's our culture. Our culture is not your costumes. We just want to throw bombs in peace. It's a beautiful day outside in New York. We want to kill 50 or so peaceful protesters and NYPD cops. Can you just lay off us? This is what the CNN headline. This is what CNN is asking here. Oh, it makes my head explode. CNN got dragged so hard that something happened that we've never seen before in our lifetime. Maybe this might be one of the last times you ever see it. CNN actually posted and said, yeah, we did a bad thing. We fowie. A post regarding 2 individuals arrested for throwing homemade. How about ISIS terrorists, homegrown Muslim ISIS terrorists for throwing homemade bombs outside of New York City, Zorhan Mandami's home, failed to reflect the gravity of the incident, thereby breaching the editorial standards required of reporting. Therefore, it has been deleted. It's amazing. They still have the article up on CNN that has the exact same lead. So they're not actually sorry. These people are they're begging. They're begging. Begging to get shut down by Ellison and Paramount. This is a great example. This is just a perfect example. This is why we do what we do. This is why it is critical to fight the information war. What's the update on this? Here we go. From the DOJ. We have charged the 2 ISIS-inspired terrorists with attempts to bomb a protest in New York City. We will not allow ISIS' poisonous anti-American ideology to threaten our nation. Our law enforcement officers will remain vigilant. Look at that photo. Look at the photo. Isn't it perfect? The first one there, Klein. It's just perfect. There's the ISIS terrorist chucking the bomb over the head of the simping white lib. It's just perfect. I mean, hang it. Kind of, it's gallows humor, but like, hang it in the Louvre, man. Like, this is the result of open borders, suicidal empathy. Suicidal empathy. This is what it's called. Suicidal empathy. And then the amount of blaming. I mean, look at this. Check out this article. Zorhan Mandami blames white supremacy for radical Islam attack. Look at that. You made them bomb you. You made them bomb you. And the FBI was attacking Christians under Joe Biden. This is what the FBI was being used to. These individuals were building pipe bombs.